Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner. But don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around. I'm anti-Trump. I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump on his inauguration as the 47th President of the United States.
Donald Trump's inauguration wasn't just another political event. It was a calculated statement. The guest list alone sent shockwaves across the globe. While Keir Starmer, the UK's Prime Minister, was noticeably absent, two controversial British figures, Nigel Farage and Katie Hopkins, were given prime spots at the ceremony. Why were these two invited while Starmer was left off the list? The answer lies in Trump's strategic choices. Farage, a vocal supporter of Trump and Brexit, was a natural fit. Katie Hopkins, infamous for her inflammatory views, had long shared Trump's combative, hardline style. Both represented the ideology that Trump championed. But Starmer's exclusion, that wasn't by accident. It was a message.
What do you think Trump's inauguration means for the UK?
I think it means a huge amount. This is a real turning point for the Americans on secure borders, a sound economy, cutting inflation, an end to the woke diversity, inclusion, nonsense that's taken over their military and their public institutions. And from a UK perspective, we must be able to absorb some of this changing trend and culture that will be led by the Americans under President Trump.
For a global leader like Starmer, to be left out of such a key event sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. What does this mean for UK-US relations? Back in 2016, Starmer didn't hold back in his criticism of Trump. He labelled Trump's rhetoric about Muslims, women and migrants as offensive and vowed to never invite him to dinner. Fast forward, and the same man who once called Trump a global threat was now congratulating him on his election victory. What's changed? Is this a political strategy, or has Starmer completely reversed his values? Trump doesn't forget insults, especially the personal ones. Could Starmer's past criticisms come back to haunt the UK at the worst possible moment?
Do you think the UK can learn from his pledge to deport millions of illegal migrants?
We need to deport as many illegal migrants as is physically possible. I deported several thousand when I was Home Secretary. We need to ramp up those numbers because if you come to the UK illegally, you must not have the right to stay. You should be detained and swiftly removed. And that's why we do need to learn again from the Americans about their robust, unapologetic stance.
Starmer's history with Trump isn't just a series of words. It could shape how the UK is treated under Trump's administration. The shift from harsh critic to diplomatic praise feels like a sharp about-face. At first glance, Starmer's congratulatory message might seem like just a diplomatic gesture, a part of the special UK-US relationship. But considering his previous statements, it raises the question, is this a tactical move, or has Starmer's opinion truly shifted? Is he just saying what's necessary to smooth things over, or does he genuinely believe in a changed approach? This sudden flip-flop isn't just a matter of politics. It could signal a lack of clarity in how the UK handles foreign policy.
Do you think the Tory party can learn from Donald Trump's victory in November? Do you think the Tory party should become more like the MAGA party?
I think there are a lot of parallels that we should draw from the MAGA movement when it comes to UK Conservatives. For too many years, we were, a centrist, vanilla puddle in the Conservative Party. We oversaw record immigration, we oversaw high taxation, and it was on our watch that children were subjected to irreversible gender surgical interventions. That all happened on our watch. We were not Conservatives. The MAGA movement is authentically conservative. It's about faith, it's about flag, and it's about family, and those abiding values.
If Starmer continues this back and forth, it risks undermining the UK's position as a stable, reliable ally on the world stage. The inconsistency has people wondering, can the UK trust a leader who bends with the political wind? Starmer's shift in tone isn't just an isolated case. Not too long ago, the Labour Party under Starmer's leadership was fiercely opposed to Trump. Senior members like David Lammy were vocal critics, calling Trump a tyrant and accusing him of aligning with neo-Nazis. Labour's stance was clear. Trump's policies were dangerous and they refused to back him. Yet today, there seems to be a noticeable shift. Labour's tone has softened and the party seems willing to play nice with Trump. Is this pragmatic politics? Or is it a betrayal of Labour's principles?
Listen, my advice to Keir Starmer is to stop being an idiot. Because, listen, Keir Starmer and half of the cabinet voted against President Trump's state visit last time round. We've got so many of members of the cabinet, David Lammy notably, having carried out vitriolic and ridiculous personal attacks on Donald Trump. They're all now desperately trying to backtrack and they're all desperately trying to suck up to President Trump. You know, at best, they're going to be irrelevant, but at worst, they have done great harm to the UK's national interest. So they've got to grow up, stop playing petty student politics, and actually stand up for the UK, get a free trade agreement, work on ensuring our military and security agreements are robust, and learn the lessons of how Donald Trump is securing their border for a start.
The shift could have long-term consequences for the UK's relationship with the US. Once fierce critics, many in Starmer's party now appear ready to align themselves with the very man they condemned. This could have lasting ramifications for the UK's international standing. Trump, for all his controversial policies, is no stranger to holding grudges. The UK's flip-flopping stance could complicate future trade deals, diplomatic efforts, and security cooperation. Trump's administration is known for remembering who supported him and who didn't. Will these inconsistencies cost the UK its place as a trusted ally?
Keir Starmer, the UK Premier.
Yes, he's coming tonight.
What do you think of him? Some of his colleagues in government are quite critical of you.
Well, I'm going to see him in about an hour, so I have to be nice, right?
Yeah.
But I actually think he's very nice. I think he ran a great race. He did very well. It's very early, but he's popular, and I'll be seeing him, and I'll send you regards.
Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner.
The contrast between Starmer and Trump's policies is also striking. Take immigration. Trump has been firm about securing US borders, implementing strict measures, and building a wall to curb illegal immigration. For Trump, it's all about protecting America's resources and limiting migrant entry. On the other hand, Starmer's approach in the UK has been more welcoming. He's advocated for a less restrictive immigration policy, focusing on humanitarian efforts and easing past restrictions. But there's a catch. These approaches clash on the global stage. Trump's tough stance on borders contrasts sharply with Starmer's more open approach.
I think that Donald Trump's approach to tariffs depends on the particular relationship with any particular country. And I think he does use the threat of tariffs in a very effective way from a negotiating point of view. It's leverage for the Americans. Now, when it comes to the US-Chinese relationship, you know, that is not a good relationship at the moment for a whole host.
This ideological divide raises a major question. What's the cost to national security and resources under Starmer's leadership? His promises of change have been met with scepticism, especially as the UK faces a cost of living crisis, rising energy prices and public sector strikes. People are questioning whether Starmer can deliver the real change they're desperate for. And what about his leadership? The UK is in a state of uncertainty. People are looking to Starmer for solutions, but his promises seem increasingly hollow.
You know, I think in the UK, our levels of illegal migration are far too high, and we do need to reduce the numbers. The characteristics of our immigration, legal migration, are low wage and low skill. It's not helping the economy. It's actually imposing a net cost on our economy and on our public service.
His tendency to shift policies or downplay serious issues has caused frustration. The public's patience is wearing thin, and many fear that under Starmer, things won't just get worse. They might stay that way. Starmer's exclusion from Trump's inauguration wasn't just a political snub. It was a deliberate message. While Farage and Hopkins were welcomed into the fold, Starmer was left out in the cold. Farage, a staunch Brexit supporter and long-time Trump ally, fit perfectly into Trump's circle. Starmer, despite being the UK's leader, didn't make the cut.
What do you make of Reform and Nigel Farage?
Well, listen, Reform have caused us a lot of pain, and Reform have been set up in a very short space of time, and they've achieved a huge amount of success. Got to hand it to them. And we lost over 100 of our MPs because of Reform. So we can't dismiss Reform. It would be foolish for Conservatives to be complacent about Reform. I think Reform is here to stay. They are exceeding us on membership numbers. They have a lot of momentum, and they seem to be connecting with people in a way that we need to do.
This exclusion was more than just an oversight. It reflects the tension between Trump and Starmer's past criticisms. How the US views UK leaders matters. Starmer's absence raises important questions about the UK's standing in Trump's eyes and what this means for future relations between the two nations. The Labour Party's current approach is leaving many questioning its credibility. The party's inconsistency on major issues, once fierce critics of Trump, now willing to align with him, has left a bad taste for many. Voters are starting to ask, can a party that changes its stance so quickly be trusted to lead the UK with consistency and stability on the global stage? The stakes have never been higher. As the UK's political landscape shifts, Starmer's ability to navigate these tricky waters will be tested. The world is watching, and the questions surrounding Starmer's leadership are piling up. Can he steady the ship, or will his flip-flopping leave the UK adrift on the world stage?